am I going to distribute it? Where they just pay me for what I'm doing. Look for that. But I like the story you told. Maybe start with Silverbird. But you see everybody like, I want to Netflix.
Or Prime.
The time you're waiting for Netflix,
yeah,
maybe 3 years.
Yes.
When I've gone to Silverbird.
Yes.
That gives you credibility. Right?
Exactly. Right. So start from somewhere. Start from where you are. And then when you start from there, you can grow. The place of growth is a fantastic place. Because what that growth does is it gives you track record. So for me now, before a company could say, oh, your interior design professional guide for Africa and the Middle East, we want to take it, was because I had done 26. Even though this 26, so I can say I did some fast, like there was one I did 1 month. I was inspired. 1 month, everything, wrote. I even got some people to write, David Ajay. I got some people were wasting my time. I even wrote for them. I said, I will write for you. This thing is going to print. But today, there was a lot of lessons that I learned. And I would say if I had to start all over again, I would start with knowing my book publisher and just sitting with them and sharing the idea, this is what I want to do, and let them handle the whole marketing, distribution, and all that, and leave me to create. So I would advise, please do not try and do what you have no expertise for. You have to leave the experts to do what they do, and this will help your work. You work faster.
Okay. So before Adebola speaks, let me just do a follow-up to that. So earlier this month, you posted on your IG page a question where you said, who are we designing for? Are we designing for art or designing for mass, right? And I mean, we have across in the room fashion designers, clothiers, product designers, and the like. Where is the balance between the volume markets and the value markets? Because present day Nigeria, the middle class is shrinking, right? And everybody is focused largely on survival. So what are your thoughts around finding that balance, volume versus value?
Okay, so let me describe something to you. This is everybody else. And then this cover is Dangote, the Dangotes. The Dangotes are selling to everybody else. Meanwhile, everybody wants to sell to the Dangotes. So you can't, because at the end of the day, for you to be able to sell to the Dangotes, you need to make sure your product is good enough.
Yes.
So for me, one thing I find ridiculous is, and I mean, that post was born out of the exhibitions that I do with a lot of young people. So let's even use from GT show to all these shows. The designers get free booths. You don't pay to build your booths. You come and you're trying to sell, and then your price is 250K. How many people can afford that? And then you leave, you say, I didn't really sell. There was an exhibition at EcoBank. It was an exhibition at Dire. There was a girl that came from Kano. She sold before the end of the day. She finished selling all her things. In fact, the girl left saying, I'm underpriced. But we said to her, you're not underpriced. Because you created all these five. How much did you create them? She told me. How much are you making? She told me. I said, so you're making money. Stay. Because she was going back with this Lagos market. But if she comes and joins the Lagos market, that's why people are not selling. That's why people are struggling. Because people can't afford what you're selling. I'm doing an incubator program for product design. And I've said, your products must not be more than 250K. Because my last one, they were even charging in dollars. $2,500. Please note, the people that are charging in dollars, they had called me to say, Auntie, please, can you loan me 150K? They don't have money. And I'm like, 2,500, why? And what I say to people when they tell me about raw materials, I'm like, you're lying. You're talking to somebody that designs and manufactures. You have the right, you are in the right place to search for your manufacturer. Let me use an example. I was trying to design a metal thing, and I got this. They said, "Oh, one metal company in Ibadan." Ibadan. I went, and the person charged me, was it 350K? They've checked. The person just, and the person was like, "Congratulations, auntie. I saw you on CNN." I said, "Ah, God." I just said to them, "Go to Adeniji. Go and help me call Baba Mukaila, my friend." They called them, and I gave the brief, and I paid 35K.
Wow.
Yeah.
10 times.
So my thing is, search for the one that you can mass produce. Because the market is out there. And guess what? The Chinese people are coming. Oh. They will sell to all of us. They will sell. They are building factories everywhere now, and they're taking different industries. We have our raw materials. Nobody is deciding to say, okay, you know what? Let me understand and research these raw materials. You know why things are expensive? Let's look at this, for example. This is imported. The legs are imported. Fabric is imported. The screws are imported. How do you want to? It's expensive, right? Dollar. It's expensive. But guess what? You can look for, in fact, you know your edge? Your edge is you going to Kano, getting those cottons and saying, you know what I'm doing is different. And then selling it small. You sell 30K. You will have sold. The next thing, before you know it, you will look for different, trusted manufacturers who will be manufacturing for you. So please, guys, we are tired. Me, I'm tired, Sha. I'd rather buy from Italians because the product is not even good enough. But if you're giving me a product, give me something different and give me something that is quality and I can afford.
Right.
Because we're many.
You. Thank you very much. So, Adebola, please, can you just share your thoughts, especially with respect to the arts, creatives, monetizing models? It's something that you have been doing for quite a while.
She's sort of mentioned quite a bit.
Yes.
So from licensing to models and prototypes. I think something to think about from a creator's perspective is that if you're an artist, if you're creating visuals, or even my dear brother Franklin there can actually create his hair. I just saw that now. His hair on mugs and sell on Amazon. And t-shirts. I'm a badass creator. People will buy it. That's such a simple thing. I just thought about it for him now. This is hair. Creates something of it. Does a t-shirt. Badass creator. Does some funny face. Creates a mug. Proper merchandise. If you're an artist, I bought a set of teak set at Gift Concierge in Ikoyi the other day for maybe 150,000. It was a Pedro Alatiche artwork, but they had mass produced it and turned it into a tea set. I can imagine how many of those tea sets are selling around the world. I'm buying a Jean-Baptiste Ludo game and what cards to give to my friends who like art because it's creative and I know they will like it. Now the man is sleeping somewhere and his Ludo is selling. Yeah. His what game is selling. So when I said earlier that creation is half of the job, distribution is the completion. So you really need to just spend time to think. Now, Titi mentioned ChatGPT earlier. It's a game changer. You can actually ask ChatGPT questions and say, I am so and so. I'm looking for ways to monetize my work. What are the different channels? But because you also have to have a level of knowledge, you need to have that kind of back and forth. When ChatGPT answers me sometimes, I plan say, that's a lazy answer. You know what he'll say? Or she'll say, oh, I'm sorry. Or you caught me there. Yeah. That's the kind of, I say, oh, I'm having a meeting tomorrow with blah, 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 blah. What do you think I should say? I know what I want to say, but I want to check, what's there. When people are afraid of AI and saying it to replace human beings, it's not true. What it does is that you either upscale or you downscale. It will replace the downscale. So, for example, I'll give a quick example. I used to have problems sometimes when I give people briefs to go and do a presentation. Between my brief and the presentation, it never.
Right.
So I will now be upset. But when I'm upset, I don't express because I respect people's emotions. So I don't want to say something that will hurt them. So I'll just not engage the thing for like 1 day or 2 days and move on. If I tell ChatGPT my brief, it will give me my answer. Guess what? What should happen is if I brief my team member now, they should use their intelligence to work with ChatGPT to get me the kind of answer. Because there's still a bit of work. It doesn't give me the perfect answer. You still have to go and tweak, rewrite, but it gives you a good base. So it's just important that, we constantly are able to find and think. As creators, sometimes we also don't like stillness. You must fall in love with stillness. You must fall in love with your own company. You must try to hear your own voice. You must try to hear your own thoughts. You must even have a moment. Let me ask 3 people in this room. Tell me the moment where you hear your thoughts. The moment. What moment in your everyday? Where is that moment where you either hear your thoughts or you talk to yourself? 3 people. 1, yeah? Where is the moment? And that's when you hear your thoughts. When you clean. I like that. 3rd person. It's got to be a woman.
For me?
Yeah, got to be a woman. Yes. Bathroom. We are kindred spirit. Bathroom for you too. Bathroom for you too. Under the shower. That's my guy. Listen, when I scold myself, I'm actually under the shower. Adebola, why did you do that? Why haven't you? I have conversations with myself. In actual fact, when they talk about the voice of good and evil, you hear it. It's telling you what you're not doing, what you should be doing, but you swim, you soak yourself in the noise of the world. In my place, they will say, Ariwoja, call, they say, don't pay attention to the noise in the market. And Loja, Landledimo, Kishariwoja. We are in such a noisy world. You are in a world now where perception is seen as a win, where announcement is seen as the achievement, not the thing. Where perception is seen as aspiration, just a perception of what is, whereas it's not. And so in that world, you need to focus on what really matters. And if you are focused on making money, nobody should shame you for that. That's because, you see, I tell people, I say in this life, either you're chasing passion, profit, or purpose. Okay, Gloria. So passion, profit, or purpose. I'll put glory on that profit. Passion, profit, or purpose are the 3 things all of us are chasing. Some people just want to be happy that they're fulfilling their passion, express their passion. Some people want to be happy that they are adding value. That's purpose. Because your passion might not add value. It might just be for you. You want to fish, you want whatever it is, it might just be for you. But your purpose adds value to the world. And ultimately profit. All of us want these 3 things. It's just how we get there. Some people start from profit. They make so much money. Then they have money to fund their passions and fund their purpose. Some people go passion route. They find purpose and they make money, and either way. But the point is, let no one shame you for wanting profit. What you should decide are 2 things. Are you the high risk, high reward guy? The people that TT doesn't like. The people who want to just make demand. Because sometimes some people do high risk, high reward, but their product doesn't merit what they are asking for. Those are the ones she doesn't like. She doesn't like you high risk, high reward if your product is worth it. Let's get that clearly. So the man in Ibadan is not because she couldn't pay him 350,000. But she's seen the work, and it's the same with Baba Mukaila. So you cannot just because, but somebody else will fall for it, and that's okay. That's business. Some people do business, and that's fine. I have done high risk, high reward all my life. Let me tell you guys the truth. I've worked out on deals. because I've insisted on being paid a certain amount of money. I have lost deals. And that's also because my capacity, I want to have a few and focus on that few.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, I resigned as CEO of my company. So now I'm a co-founder, I'm an owner, myself and Trudy. We have a CEO. But I have a private shop where HNIs come to me for advice. Now I don't want too many of them. So to get me in my private shop to advise you is so high. And if you want to execute, we'll still go back to Red to execute, but you pay me my own advisory separately. But it's such an amount that I don't want too many people. I just want a few. And be able to think for them. And be their eyes and their ears. So that's high risk, high reward. I've had people who, they'll come back to me a year after, 2 years after, oh yeah, how far, let's start. And I've had people who would never come back to me who would say that guy is mad. And that's okay. And then the other one is where she talked about, the lower value, where you price yourself in a way where mass market. You see, there are things that we always sell. Food, fashion, beauty. So Dangote is making money from essentials. They call them essential commodity. You need to ask yourself, the value you're offering, the problem you're solving, is it an essential commodity? If it is, then you can focus on mass. Then you define your moat. Your moat will now be what makes you different, what makes you unique. And that moat in this case can be your branding. Both people need branding. The one doing the mass and the one doing high risk. But the one that needs branding the most is the high risk guy. Because your brand needs to be so strong to make people write that check you're demanding. But for you who are doing mass value, you also need to figure out what is your brand differentiation. What is it? Because everyone is doing it. The market is so red. To find your blue ocean, either you decide to go somewhere. Maybe that's the final point. We all also always focus on the same market, this same Lagos. You remember there's Shagam, there's Ogun. In actual fact, there are other countries that are looking for African content. They're looking for African solutions. So think wide. Just spend the solution to monetization is to spend time to figure out what is my distribution plan. I think if you spend time in that, if you research in that, you will be able to create a pathway for yourself.
Right. Thank you so much, Adebola. A quick follow-up to that, which you already started, talking about you resigning from Red. So this happened in 2022, and an article was published on your website where you pretty much highlighted the planning that went into the succession and the handover. So with respect to building structure for businesses, for posterity, can you give us some insights? Because a lot of creators don't build structure from the start. There's no corporate governance inbuilt into the system. So can you share some thoughts around that?
I think the first thing that creators must acknowledge is your SWOT. What is your strength? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And who or what do you need to cover up for your weaknesses? The beauty of knowing your weakness is that you would work from a place of strength. The beauty of knowing your weakness is that you will work from a place of strength. There is power in knowing. So because you know, then you can mitigate. You can make a plan for. All my life I've run my businesses as partnerships. All my life. And I've thoroughly enjoyed being able to focus on my strength and my partner focusing on their strength. In our formation with Red, Chude is the systems guy, and I'm the rainmaker. He does the back end. I do the front facing. And so I have to give him credit for many of the steps that we took in succession. Not just because he knows it, but because he opened us all up to processes from successful institutions. We would always look at Google, Amazon, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates. How have they done it? How have they built their businesses? these models have been done before. In actual fact, before COVID, work from home, let me tell you the work structure in our company. Once a week, the whole company does work from home. Once a week. Then, every team member gets one shutdown day for themselves. So, apart from your weekends, your 8 weekends in a month, you take one day and say, this day I'm not working. Then the company as a whole has one shutdown day where the whole company doesn't work. Anyway, by the time we calculate it, our team members only come to work maybe 12 days a month that are required in the office. Because of learning from how creative organizations around the world were retaining their staff. What happened was that we found that we had this amazing academy called RedX. We will bring the brightest and the best of people to come and teach our young people. They come out of RedX, out of 60, we pick 25, we retain 10, we train them, then in a few months' time, Hares Holdings, this one, that one will come and start hiring our people. So we had to find a way to be competitive because we couldn't pay them what those guys were offering them. So we created these things that young people liked. So they would think and say, you know what, there's money there, but there's comfort here. So we're trying to solve a problem. So even for succession, we knew that we wouldn't run this business forever. So we watched other models and went through a phase where we picked all our top guys and made them directors and put them in a test for 2 years to see their leadership. None of them became the MD eventually, but at least it put us in the mindset that we're on a journey to find an MD. The guy that became the MD, funny enough, we discovered and trained him on campus about 15 years ago. He was one of my campus marketers. I ran a campaign for BlackBerry. I led it. Our company ran it, but I led the campaign across campuses in Nigeria. BlackBerry ambassadors. It was at the time where it was a new novel idea. And he was one of them in Unilag, who was our campus activation guys. And I always told them, funny enough, himself, TJ, Cypher, there's a guy called, who does tech things now on social media called Cypher. TJ has a company called TJ Dots, Trend Up Awards. Yeah, we discovered and trained all those boys. And I would tell them, they say, one day, you'll all open marketing companies and you will thank me for it. But for now, I'm pushing you, putting you to work. You think this guy's just using our head, trying to get us to work hard. But you would realize one day. And so there's always been that idea of the future. But the real lesson here is this. One, partnership can help you grow faster. And as creators, oftentimes you don't like those hard stuff. That's slow burn. A partner can do that. That's one. Two, models from around the world. Watch what other companies are doing. Don't just see their branding. Because many times you focus on the cool thing Google does. Go and understand their systems. Take the comb, put it in their hair, and see what creates this brand. So when there's a brand that you love, that's what we do. Brands we love. We try to understand what's behind. Guys, this is very important. You must understand what is behind the brands that you love. Coca-Cola, that is still existing till today, was the only company that was advertising during the World War. That's why they're here today, because they understand not just marketing, but marketing at the times that matter, marketing in the circumstances that matter, and being able to embed themselves in societies. How many of you know Bata? Bata company. Bata. Did you ever think it was a Nigerian company at some point in your life? Do you still think it's a Nigerian company today? No, honestly, who here thinks it's a Nigerian company? Be honest. You think, right? It's not. It's a Nigerian company. But that's the power of knowing how to brand yourself. So any brand that you love, go and study them and understand how they've been here for generations.
Thank you so much. And so to bring this conversation to a close,
to end?
Yes.
No questions from them?
No. Before I hand it over to them.
Because it makes me curious to know who they are.
Before I hand it over to them, as investors and industry gatekeepers right now, two things. What are you looking out for in creative entrepreneurs? And how would you advise them to package themselves?
Initially, I explained writing what your vision is. It's important that you understand your go-to-market strategy. Because I see a lot of creators just create, there's really no strategy, and they are hoping that the strategy will just create itself. You have to be very, 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 very clear in your vision and the steps leading to your vision. It's okay to say, I want to build a museum in 2 years, right? And there's steps towards leading you there. And also know your capabilities. Like with me, I'm very, very, I call it cupboard. I have like something I call weight of glory. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. If I can dream it, if I can see it in my mind, I have to see it too. If I can see it, I can do it. So the fact I don't want a hub that is 50 billion is because I haven't seen it. Once I can just see the picture of that thing, everything that I do goes towards that whole thing. Every single thing. And guess what? You said something about the universe. Things will open for you. Netflix, Netflix was meeting with everybody, and they didn't collect films from everybody. They came to my house. I didn't go to Netflix. They came, we had lunch, I said many great things, and they bought a thing they hadn't seen because I saw it. I said, this is it. I say that human beings were very, very powerful. We're more powerful than we know. And most times, I've discovered that I don't like negative people around me. If I don't have people that say, oh, how are we going to do it? I don't even think through things. When you start asking me those things, I'm like, why is this person here? Like, move away. So when you're incubating your vision, you have to make sure that you're around people that will help
The right people
you
around you.
with your vision. And then you need to talk to people. You need to do a lot of research. You need to talk to people about your vision. I found that when I start, sometimes I just plan dinners, lunch. In fact, by the way, I have some I want us to meet. And then by the time I'm sharing the dream with you, I'm even understanding the dream myself.
Yes.
So I'm sharing it. I'm like, oh, I'm trying to do this. And I'm doing 6 geopolitical zones. And by the time I now finish, I'm like, 6, are you sure we should not start with Lagos? I'm telling you. But before you know it, I'll say, and we're starting in Lagos. I saw a place on Awolowo Road. I'm trying to take it. I want to break. I'm even, right now in my mind, I'm breaking the neighbors. I don't know who they are. I don't know how they reach. I'm taking their property because I need space. The space is not enough. I said 2,600, and it's not enough for me. And so that's the power of your mind when you're creating and when you're developing something. So with creators, if you have an idea, first take that your idea. You have to protect your idea, develop it, understand it, brainstorm the idea, and then you need to understand who that idea is for. It's for humans for us, it's for humans that you are creating, designing. So if you're a content creator, who? Because it's such a broad thing. Who are you creating for? So you may just be creating for, you may just be creating for singers. And it's not just all singers. You may say, you know what, I like only Afrobeat. And then what happens is that the framework of that area, the territory that you are about to take, because I believe in territoriality, the framework of it, you have to guard it to a point that you need to make sure. You mentioned something about Coca-Cola. They're still here today because they're in your face. You never forget me. I'm going to be there forever. And whether Coca-Cola and Pepsi taste the same, they're telling you we are the leaders. So you need to make sure that you your strategies like that.
Okay, so I'll hand over the microphone to the audience. Who has a question, please?
For background, I'm in manufacturing girly. I'm in the real sector and I'm building a snack startup company. We're making healthy alternatives to snacks. So my first question is to you. And it's a form of thread that I wrote a while ago, and it says, before you pour into tech, we need an enabling environment, ease of doing business. That's why founders build whatever VCs want to hear, take money and leave. The incentives are broken. We need clean water, good roads, efficient logistics. People need to eat first. Me. No. People need to eat first. We need clean water, good roads, efficient logistics, reliable distribution networks. So this came from the founder of, just say the last thing I wrote. The question is this more beneficial to the African economy? Are we just burning money trying to replicate a Silicon Valley in a market that needs something entirely different? And this came about because the founder of So Fresh had made a tweet asking about investing in traditional businesses. For background, I'm an economist, and I think is that investors are not seeing such that they don't put their money into the real sector.
I'm not sure if that's correct. In actual fact, if you go to a bank like Bank of Industry, it's the real sector they fund with the largest amount of money. What has happened is with tech, there's a lot of buzz.
Yeah.
And that's because there's a direct correlation to Silicon Valley, and we're also in the 21st century where technology is a big deal. Now you have to realize that every era, every season has that big sector, and at the moment, the big sector is the creative sector and tech. But it was solely tech before creative sector became a creative economy. But manufacturing and many of those what you call real sector, agriculture and co, they are key in the foundation of our lives. Hospitals are getting funding. Manufacturing businesses are getting funding. Agricultural businesses are getting funding. But you might not find that funding. You might not have access to that funding. So the question is, what is your value proposition? What is your business? Who are you talking to? Have you been to BRI, for example?
Have I been to?
Bank of Industry for funding, for example.
No, I haven't.
Okay. Have you been to Nexim, for example?
No.
Okay. Have you been to Bank of Agriculture, for example?
No, I have spoken to.
So what I'm trying to say is that, so two things. One is, you might actually not have looked in the right place, and you might just be feeling, you might be operating on feeling, because when you see the bars, nobody's giving money to manufacturing, everybody's talking about tech. So you are now entering into analysis paralysis when you didn't even try. And that's because genuinely you're seeing the bars on a sector. And so it's putting fear that is unfounded in you. If you go to BI today, if you go to, all these places I mentioned, I was with one of the EDs in Exim Bank, and I mentioned a business, I'm an investor in a food business that exports abroad. The question she asked me was, why am I not funding that business? That's what she asked me. Why is Nexim, you're exporting food, and Nexim is not funding it? Please, can you introduce them to me? Can you, they're eager. Right now in the country, you have Credit Corp, you have NCGC, there are different organizations that have been created now to actually facilitate the real sector. National Credit Guarantee Company was just created, and that company helps to assist, large-scale businesses, or even the medium in real sectors like this who want to access funding and are struggling with collateral. When the bank says you're okay to collect, the loan, but you're short of collateral, NCGC can come and guarantee some of the money you're going to be given. So there are actually platforms created. Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture, Nexim. There are so many funds here and there. There's a 200 billion under something MSME fund. There's so many. But sometimes with young people as well, or just entrepreneurs, because of lack of faith in government, and I understand why you don't have faith, but you have to try. You have to put in the application. You have to pay attention to the opportunities that the government is putting out for your sectors. There are several of them. You have to go through the newspaper. Some of them don't come online. You have to do Google alerts to tell you about funding opportunities. It's there. So you've got to just pay attention. Real sectors are the base of our economy. You know, this tech, creative sectors oftentimes can also be individualistic. But like you said, manufacturing, the amount of people one manufacturing firm will employ trumps the amount of people at one firm. But overall, talent is just an easier pathway for individuals to find economic prosperity.
Thank you very much. As someone who likes to do and has created something out of nothing, how did you hire the right people in building the vision for something that worked? So when you start at the granular level, the dream is really big and there's no pathway to, okay, let me do this. So one, how did you power through the drought days? And two, how did you hire the right people to sort of take you from A to B and B to C?
Okay, as creators, there are always drought days. I still have that now. I still have periods when I feel like, you know what, I don't have that thing I want. But like I mentioned to you, the first thing is having a clear vision. A lot of the things that I have created, I didn't have funding for it. So people would say to me, I'm just looking for the funding. Just start. Just start. You have no idea what it is for you to start something. Once you start something, right? With me, I tested it on events. The event, I said we had 110 nations. In fact, and I'm such a big thinker that I said, take Eco Hotel, Wheat Baker, Federal Palace, and then BC Silver, all those people. I said, how much is your money? $10,000? Of course. By the time the bill came, in fact, on the Friday before the events was starting on Tuesday, we had no money. I'm very spiritual. I went to Orioke. I said, Father, do not shame me. I've done this before, but I need. And guess what? The money came on the Monday because I had done my homework. I had gone to all the people. I was just waiting. By the time we got Ambode on a Saturday. He got the people to work on a Sunday. Think about it, eh? People don't work on Sundays in Alausa. They worked on Sunday, and on Monday at 8 a.m., the first alert came. And it's as if the alert told the other people that, okay, you can now come. We just started getting from everyone. I don't know if you know MTN. MTN, they don't give you money until after. They gave money that Monday. So once you start something, and once the people started coming, I started taking them to, we had a meeting, like, oh, the people have come from some countries. We took them to some sponsors. We just came to greet you. Do you understand? We had lunch with some people, and some people that actually forgot about us. They remembered. Most times, we're not willing to do the work. You have to be in the faces of, you're the one that wants something. You have to be in the faces of the people all the time. About expertise, the world is my marketplace. I only work with experts. Only. Apart from the COVID year, that's my model. I'm working on some projects. I'm working on a project now in Senegal that is big. I'm working with designers in London. I'm working with designers in Uruguay. I said, Lagos people can destroy me. So the world is your marketplace. Because if you do a good job, they will call you back. So make sure you only work with experts. That's my own model, and it has worked for me. I'm not emotional when it comes to work. Not at all, because I have a reputation to uphold. So that's what I would advise.
My name is Ehinome Eferubo. I'm a corporate lawyer. I work in 9 to 5, but I also run a food business. The food business is deeply rooted in my passion for evoking joy, comfort, satisfaction, and basically just the nostalgic feeling of home cooking. So recently, I've been thinking of stepping out of law and focusing on the food. So as somebody who is navigating dual paths, so one is stable and structured, and then the other one is definitely not structured yet, just passion-filled, purpose-filled. What advice would you give me? And this is for you, Mr. Williams. Thank you.
Fear is the enemy. But you know the bigger enemy than fear? Comfort. You're comfortable. But you see, there's something bigger that comes from discomfort. Have you ever had a child? You haven't. The pangs of birthing, the pain of the 9 months, and what it takes from you even to raise that child. And then you raise a full human being that is well and alive and big. Big things come from birth pangs. Yeah? So don't be afraid of the pangs. That's what you're afraid of. Do a quick calculation. How much would you make from a restaurant in a day? Just calculate potentially. Just do your vision board and say, this is where I want this food business to take me in 10 years or in 20 years. Yeah? Then walk back and come to today. I know restaurants that make 3 million naira in a day. I'm certain you don't earn 3 million in a month. Do you? Yes. Let's not go further in going nearer to what you earn. But I can assure you today, as God bears me witness, that the amount of money you make in a restaurant in the month will dwarf what you're earning right now as salary, because it's an essential commodity. And even though it's a red ocean, people will eat. In actual fact, what you can do is start from your home kitchen, hook onto a delivery company, and see how much you're making. My wife is a consultant in one of the big consulting firms, but she also owns a fashion business, which I encouraged her to start. Why did I encourage her to start the business? I used to buy Adere boo-boos and give my clients. So I said, if I start my own Adere line, the amount of money I even buy itself gone, I will make money for myself. So I said, madam, let's start this company. You were doing, she used to do, she's always been interested in fashion and beauty. She had a jewelry store. I said, add this boo to it. The amount of money she makes from a boo company in a month is times and times her salary. So maybe because you haven't even tried it, but try it. And even without trying it, the joy I saw in your eyes just now when you're talking about food, I believe in you. And I think you should give it a shot.
I'm in my 3rd year of university in Babcock University. I'm studying international law and diplomacy. My first question is from Mrs. TT. I hope I pronounced it right. I'm still figuring out and trying to understand what direction to take. And can I ask, when you're around my age, your early 20s, did you know what you wanted to do? And if not, how did you figure it out along the way? And my question for Mr. Adebola is, I really admire what you've built. I'm curious on how you stayed focused, pushing forward when things were uncertain, especially in your early age. And then for you, Mr. Emmanuel,
I get a question.
you spoke about purpose during the whole conference, and I wanted to ask, how do you find your purpose as a young individual? Because in our age, it's very hard for you to find purpose because you find yourself in positions where you keep changing on a day-to-day basis, and your experiences, they shape you into an individual where you feel like, yesterday I wanted this, but today I want something else. So could you please just enlighten me on how you can find your purpose?
How did I find what I'm doing now? I actually prayed. So creativity is linked to spirituality. I said this once and they were like, yeah, Christians. And I was like, no. I said, so if I was Steve Jobs and I told you guys that I actually got the idea for Apple in a Buddhist camp, you believe me. But I found my destiny alone, asking, why am I here? And the thing that you're born to do is the thing that comes easy for you to do. When I said I have something, when I want to do something, I'm almost like a beast. I can't even explain it when I'm about to build. And I can't have people around me. I'm just like, no, and I'm building because I found that purpose early. And even when I told my dad, who, by the way, later, many years after, he said he encouraged me, which is a lie. When I told him, he said to me, I can get you into Oceanic Bank. Why are you, like, what is this? Like, because what I wanted to do hadn't been done before. People didn't even know what interior design was, interior architecture. And then you want to go and do. When I know Hebrew, I can talk to them, they can get you a job there. And then I told my dad. But when I started, I succeeded so much because people could see. I was doing. And then my dad, at an event, one of my events, said, I encouraged her. I say, and the reason I'm saying this is, I really don't care what people say left or right. Once I'm clear in what I'm trying to achieve, I go for it. So you're young, I would encourage you also, because sometimes, you're living in a good world anyway. So you're living in a world where even parents now know creativity is now hip. In my time, it was either lawyer, doctor, banker. That's it. Engineer. And you have the engineer in front of it, your name. That was it. So you're living a good time where you can actually say to your parents or say to people, I feel like this is the area. But I would say start from prayer, because that's how I started. I actually prayed about it. I'm like, why am I here? So that's a question that helped me.
Thank you very much.
You asked how I stay focused. Let me start from the Christianese that people assume that she speaks when she says creation comes from God. God was the first creator. And so for you to get the blueprint of creation to multiply, you need to be connected to the source. The only other person who is able to create near God is woman, because she's the only one that has the power to create another human being as God did. But for every one of us, we have the power to create ideas. And when he says go and multiply, that's what he's saying. He's saying go into the world and do not be stagnant. Create. And then she said something that's also instructive. In a Buddhist camp, which was probably quiet. That is why people go into the wilderness to go and reconnect with God. The noise of the world. Ariwo Oja. He creates layers and layers of doubt, of fear, that makes you want to stay in your comfort and think that the only sectors receiving funding is the one you're hearing about, and not focus on your own goal. So you must seek quiet to be able to get and interpret the blueprint of creation from God in the wilderness. And I guess that's how I stay focused in my entire journey. The fact that I have clarity in why I'm here. The why is always important. I've always had clarity that my purpose of being on earth is to shape the world in the way that I see it, with the values that I think are important to make us have a fair, kind, equitable world. And so everything I've done, I remember many years ago, a friend called me from the UK and said, so these future awards that you people are doing now, how do you benefit directly that, if you want to run for election now, how will you get all the people that you've given awards and you've nominated and all that? How will you make sure they vote for you? How will you? I was offended by that question. He's not wrong, by the way. That was not a wrong question. That was someone that truly loved me. Because I was like, you did all this work. But I was offended because all my life, my job has been to create opportunities for young people to be independent in thinking. And to make demands of government or to build, to create, not about me. So once I was offended, somebody else has used the same strategy to achieve the highest opportunities in their life in the land. So for me, the clarity of my purpose, even when things were tough. In actual fact, I drink no like soup. Like, you tell me no. I've waited in lobbies. There was a time in my life where when I went for certain meetings, I knew that I'll be there for 8 hours. I'll charge my computer. I'll go with a power bank. I'll go with snacks. I sit in that lobby and I set up my office. But you will answer me. Maybe not today, not tomorrow, but maybe in 4 days' time. But I've sat in those lobbies waiting because I was clear that I needed to do what I was doing to get to where I'm going.
Thank you very much. And to be honest, there's not so much difference from what they said that I'll add, because, again, for me, my purpose is also founded in God, right? So I will give you 2 scriptures that you can take, Isaiah 55 and Isaiah 52. For me particularly, it stems from verse 4 and 5, and then 52 verse 9, right? But yes, at a very young age, between secondary school and uni, I spent an extra year at home. And that was a season of my life where I just went into a season of prayer, of loving on God and listening, right? And he spoke about listening and spending that time. And it was in that season that a set of scriptures came to me. And for me, when scriptures speak to me, I take it as matching orders, right? And I go into execution mode. So, founded in God. And what I will add is endeavor to build that relationship. For me, that has worked, right? There are seasons when I couldn't correlate between the journey, the path I was taking, and the results I was seeing, right? I couldn't, and incidentally, that was the season where I met Adebola, right? And that conversation we had. And the analogy he gave me at the time, if you recall, you mentioned about jogging. When you're jogging, if you keep looking back, you find out that you are falling behind and the person behind is catching up, right? So keep looking forward and keep jogging, run your race, right? So personally founded in God. Second thing is there are giftings and talents that you are born with, things you enjoy, things you find actually come to you easily, right? Your own homework is to experiment with those things. For me, I have always been a systems engineer. And by systems, even though my background is engineering, yes, but it's more about I pull things and people together to make the thing work, right? And like I was having a conversation with somebody at one of our events, and I told him that the moment I pull everybody together, I step out of the way and let the people do their work. I have played my part. I have systematically engineered that process, and it flows. And so in myself, I see myself as a channel that God is using to pull things together for whatever purpose he wants to achieve to happen, right? So I will encourage you to find God and then find those innate giftings that you have been given and hone in those skills, and the rest will follow. And once more, thank you so much. I deeply appreciate your presence. Thank you for blessing us with your time. He mentioned he charges people in dollars, and we have gotten it free of charge. So please put your hands together for both of them. So we'll take quick pictures and we will close this session.